Jodie, thanks so much for taking the time to do this with us on Golf Talk Canada. We've been trying to connect for a while, and I couldn't believe I looked at the calendar. July 5th and 6th, I mean, it's creeping up fast. Endless Summer is the name of the event, the largest long drive competition in Canada. Before we get into it, I'm sure a lot of our viewers and listeners are probably, familiar with what they've seen on Golf Channel or whatnot. So tell us a little bit about this event. And if someone came out and said, I want to go see long drive competition, what would they expect to see?
The best way that I can describe it to people is I'm a huge wrestling fan, and it's almost like a combination of watching professional wrestlers and golf in terms of these are larger than life individuals who carry themselves with a certain amount of swagger and entertainment value that happen to be very prolific and proficient at slamming the ball as far as they possibly can. Just to put in perspective right off the bat, last year when we did this event for the first time under the Endless Summer umbrella, the winning long drive was a kid out of Sault Ste. Marie, Cody Billinghurst, and his winning drive was 418 yards. So just to put that in perspective of what people are doing out there these days in the world of long drive.
That is absolutely incredible. I mean, those numbers are crazy. I was mentioning to you before we started this interview how people last week were like freaking out about Rory McIlroy 388, off the first tee at LACC, and he's landing it, which would be, almost as firm as an airport runway. And these guys busting it over 400 yards. I mean, on the regular, it's just absolutely crazy. Now, speaking of names, you've kind of got your own Rory McIlroy coming out. You have the number one and number two in the world coming up to Belleville for this event.
Yeah, we're very fortunate through the connections of some of the guys that are helping me out, including five-time world champion Jason Zubak, who's a part of Endless Summer, and Wes Patterson, who's also a world long drive athlete, working alongside myself. But we've been able to secure Kyle Berkshire, number one long driver in the world, plus number two, not very far behind, Martin Borgmeyer, who of course is the defending long drive champion for 2022. And in addition to that, Mark, we've also got three other guys that are in the top 10, including Justin James, also a world champion, Josh Koch, and Colton Casto. And the list just goes from there. And, I mean, the international feel for this event, we got guys from Australia, the UK. We have a guy named Naoto Misumi, six-time Japanese long drive champion, coming to Belleville to compete. It's kind of surreal, to be honest.
It's pretty awesome. You've accumulated and gathered the best of the best. It's Trillium Wood Golf Club in Belleville is the location, July 5th and 6th. Why do you think Canadians over the years have had such a great close relationship? You mentioned Jason Zubak, but I mean the long drive competition and the Canadian fingerprint, so to speak, on long drive goes back decades. What is it with Canadians and long drive?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, you know what, I mean, it's hard not to look at Jason Zubak and kind of say that, he wasn't the guy that kind of spawned so much more in terms of long drive. Like a guy like Jamie Sedlowski as an example. I'm sure if you talk to him, he would certainly say that Zubak had an influence on him. But I know personally, I can remember in the early, I would say mid 2000s, being at Deer Creek, that golf course, which is just near Oshawa, I think, or somewhere in that area.
Ajax.
Yeah, and they had the Pinnacle Distance team at the time. So it was guys like Zubak, David Mobley, Brian Pavlet, like going back there. And yeah, I think Canadians in general, I think we're golf hungry. It probably has something to do with the small season that we have, the window of opportunity. But you're right, in long drive, I think around the world it's something that people gravitate to. And I don't want to say it's like carnival like, but there is an element of that in terms of they're doing something that others simply cannot do. And it's just amazing to watch.
Yeah, carnival's not a bad word. Festival. I like the wrestling analogy because these are characters. There is music. It is a bit of a spectacle. And I'm not referring to the band. You have the Abrams coming out as part of the entertainment. I'm just talking about the whole environment. Like quite often there'll be walk-up music and,
Yep.
and just things going on. So before we get to the Abrams, because I know they're playing, I want you to let our audience know how they can get tickets if they want to come out. What's the fifth look like? What's the sixth look like? Walk us through the 2 days, what people can expect if they come out.
Yeah, so the event itself is actually just is in support of a local homeless shelter called the Grace Inn. That's why we're doing this. We're raising awareness and raising support for that. So I'm very proud to be a part of that. July 5th, we're going to have an outdoor concert, a welcome reception, and the public is able to purchase tickets to attend that and enjoy the Abrams. They're going to go on stage at 8 o'clock with CMA Ontario Award winners. They're amazing musicians. Like, you guys will be blown away, anyone that comes and checks the show out, and maybe you're already familiar with them. And then on the 6th, we've actually got two scramble tournaments going on, one at 9:30, one at 2:30. And just Cole's Notes version of how this works. During the event, the long drivers are playing with a group of amateurs, and on 4 holes, they hit 3 extra tee shots. So those are qualifying holes. And what we do is we'll take 12 of the top distances in the morning, 12 in the afternoon, and then at night, under the lights on the first hole at Trillium Wood, 24 of those guys are going to go head to head to see who is crowned the champion. I should note too, Mark, that the $20,000 to the winner doesn't hurt in getting guys to come to compete either. So
Well, that sounds awesome. So it's interactive. It's got music. It's got that
yes.
festival environment. You're seeing the best of the best. You get out there and get out to participate. Then under the lights, like you mentioned, it's for a great cause, but also the 20K going to the winner. If people want to come out, if they want to jump in, support the day, buy tickets, whatever, where do they go, Jody?
Yeah, they can go to abramstickets.com. I should mention the golf is all sold out, but the public is more than welcome to come to the concert. And then the next day, we'll have bleachers set up so you can literally sit on the holes and just watch guys hit as they come through on the qualifying holes. So for $35, you can't beat it.
Pretty awesome. Yeah, $35 to watch guys
Yep,
rip 400-yard plus. I'm in. I
exactly.
love this. Okay, it's July 5th and July 6th. Trillium Wood Golf Club, Endless Summer, Canada's largest long drive competition. Jody, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you so much, Mark, for having me.